Dan Carter! What a kick! He did it against South Africa, and he's done it
Dan
again.
Carter is the undisputed king of the flyhalves. People often say it's easier to give credit to modern era players, as you remember their performances more vividly. In this case, however, the stats just don't lie. He's been absolutely spectacular throughout his career as rugby's version of the human highlight reel. Let's start with just a few of his stats. In his career, he was the highest point scorer in Test rugby. He was also able to rack up the IRB Player of the Year awards in 2005, 2012 and 2015. And this equaled Richie McCaw for most IRB Player of the Year awards. During his playing days, he racked up 3 Super Rugby titles with the Crusaders as well. He picked up 9 Tri-Nations, now called the Rugby Championships, trophies during his playing career, to go with his 2 Rugby World Cups that he won in 2011 and 2015. In the 2011 World Cup, he suffered a groin injury in the pool stages. In 2015, he was our man of the match in the final with 4 penalties, 2 conversions and a drop goal. As a test player, he definitely didn't have any equals when it came to point scoring, and he put up some of the most impressive performances in a couple of different categories. Let's have a look at some of the most impressive standout performances.
So Oyalu. Chance here for Carter. Flying down the wing. Daniel Carter.
The All Blacks in total command here. Carter. They gap him again, and it's another try.
And he got his pass off to Carter as well. Carter breaking. Carter's got Sivivano on the outside, doesn't use him. McCaw now with Familiaina as they stream down towards the 22. First time the All Blacks have really had an attacking option. Collins slips the pass to Carter. Carter still going, and Dan Carter will get the opening try.
As a kicker, he was most prolific, scoring 293 test conversions. That went with his 281 penalties that he scored. To date, he is the only player in World Rugby that has scored more than 1,500 test points, and he's got the most conversions in Rugby World Cup matches of all players, totaling 58. There's no arguing about him being the most prolific point scorer, as he's sitting at 352 points ahead of the second place test scorer. When he retired from Test rugby, his points tally was 1,598 points from 112 tests. Throughout that, he wasn't just a kicking machine. He scored 29 tries, but the kicks actually made up the biggest balance of that, with 293 conversions and the 281 penalties, and then the 8 drop goals, just for good measure. He also averaged a ridiculous 14.27 points per game. That is by far the highest average of players who scored more than 500 test points. Dan Carter put up massive points tallies against some of the top rugby playing nations. Out of the lot, in position number 5, he scored 162 points against Wales, and that was from 9 games. And that averaged out at 18 points per game. If you have a look at France, he scored 163 points in 12 games, which was at 13.6 points per game. That is the most points against France by a single player. Against England, he scored 178 points out of 11 games at an average of 16.2 points per game. That is also the most that a single player has scored against England. Against South Africa, he picked up 255 points from 19 games at an average of 13.4 points per game. And he was the player that also scored the most as an individual against South Africa. He did, however, score the most points against Australia at 366 points from 27 games at an average of 13.6 points per game. But just in that case, he wasn't the individual who scored the most points against Australia. Overall, some massive hauls against the top rugby playing nations.
It's on, and it's McDonald, it's Carter. They're already standing up, they're already celebrating.
If it hasn't been immaculate, it ain't been far short. This has been an outside half performance to treasure, to remember.
Rewind a couple of years to when he actually started playing rugby. He started playing rugby at the age of 5 and played for the Southbridge Rugby Club as a scrumhalf. He went on to play for the Ellesmere and Canterbury Country representative teams. All of this started when he was playing at Ellesmere College before actually transferring in his final year to the prestigious Christchurch Boys High School. He started out back in 2002 when he made his Canterbury debut. 2003 he signed for the Crusaders and he played in the Super 12 final. He played mostly at inside centre and made his All Blacks debut at age 21, scoring 20 points versus Wales. And that got him included in the Rugby World Cup squad for 2003. 2004, he still mostly played as inside centre and he made it through to the Super 12 final again and secured his permanent position in the All Black side during the 2004 UK and France tour, displacing the spectacular Carlos Spencer.
Carter, now McDonald, and Howland has to stop. Kick back infield, oh, great skill. Carter gets the fan going, what a try!
In 2005, he moved to flyhalf and he was actually able to pick up his first Super 12 win. He also starred for the All Blacks in a 48-18 win against the Lions. He scored 2 tries, 5 penalties, 4 conversions and ended the match with 33 points, breaking the previous All Black record of 18 points versus the Lions in the match. Carter was named 2005 IRB Player of the Year, and he was the first New Zealander to win the award. In 2006 it was more of the same, winning the Super 12 final, and he scored the most individual points for a player in a season, with 221.
2 tries to 0. Goodness gracious. That is unbelievable.
Moving on to 2008, and guess what? He won another Super Rugby title, and he signed a 6-month contract with Perpignan. Sadly, in 2009, he picked up the first of his major injuries. He ruptured his Achilles tendon, but Perpignan still won the Pro 14. He recovered in time to play for his provincial Canterbury team, and he got selected for the All Blacks team in August. 2010, after scoring a halfway penalty versus Wales, Carter became the highest point scorer of all time. If you have a look at that and you just take that into context, he literally became the highest point scorer for all Test rugby players when he had only played Test rugby for 7 years, which is absolutely insane. He was overtaken briefly in 2011, but regained that top point scorer spot again. But he sadly got injured during a training session early on in the Rugby World Cup. 2012, he became the top scorer in Super Rugby with 1,301 points, and once again picked up IRB Player of the Year. 2013, he went on to become only the 5th All Black to play 100 caps.
Now the hands come, beautiful pluck there from Carter. Carter, so balanced, he's quick. He's making a mess of the Welsh here. Dan Carter, you are a genius.
2015, he played his final game in the Bledisloe Cup final decider for the All Blacks. Just looking back at that Rugby World Cup, that was exactly the fairy tale ending that he was looking for. He picked up player of the match in that final, and he joined Racing Metro after the Rugby World Cup for €1.5 million per year, making him the highest paid rugby player. In 2016, they won the top 14 final by 21 points to 19, and Dan Carter scored 5 penalties for a total of 15 points. And that despite being down one man 18 minutes into the game through a red card. 2018, he had a quick stint in Japan, playing for the Cabalco Steelers, before returning to Racing Metro in 2019 in February, after Patrick Lambie was forced to retire due to injury. In 2020, Dan Carter briefly made the switch to the Blues, but never made an appearance for them. And in 2021, he announced his retirement. Dan Carter has always been, and will always be, probably the best fly-half that the world has ever seen.
Charlie Hodgson puts it up to halfway. The captain, Richie McCaw. Carter, oh, Dan Carter for the line. They won't catch him. Out of nothing, the All Blacks strike.
Ellis is going to work it away to the right. Loose pass though to Carter, has to turn and drop kick for goal. And puts it over. Drop kick from Dan Carter.
after phase. Now Carter with the kick. Carter! Absolutely brilliant. And he'll run it around and put it down between the sticks. Magnificent.
McCaw gets there quickly. Gets it wide to Carter. It's gone backwards. A drop kick on his right foot.